Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today we'll be creating our first website with HTML and CSS, and we'll be covering the basis of programming. Kindly note that this video tutorial will be in modules, so stay tuned and subscribe. So let's move forward. HTML. HTML is what we know as the hypertext markup language. It is a standard language used to create and design web pages. Think of it as a skeleton or building blocks of a web page. It uses tags to structure and organize content like text, images, and link, and it is a basic foundational element of web programming. While CSS, on the other hand, is like the paint of the web page. It makes everything look pretty, colorful, and organized. With CSS, you can change colors, font size, and many more. You can make as many changes as possible. So let's dive right in. But before we fully dive right in, you need to know what a code editor is. So a code editor is basically a software tool that allows you to code. There are diverse code editors programmers make use of. But for this tutorial, we'll be making use of the most popular code editor known as the Visual Studio Code, or VS Code. So I have already installed the code editor right here. Like I said, we'll be making use of this code editor for our lesson, and I will be dropping the download link for the code editor. So let's move on. So the first step right now is to create a folder in our desktop. So all we just have to do is navigate to new folder, create a folder, and probably name it my first web page. So like I said, I already have my Visual Studio Code installed on my system. So all you just have to do now is right click on my first web page, then click on open with code. It takes few seconds to open. So this is the basic interface of the Visual Studio Code. We have the file, we have the edit, selection, view. Each has its own functions. For example, with the file, you can open files, create folders, and many more. And edit, you can undo, redo, copy, paste, and basic functions. So let's start. So all we have to do right now is go to new file and create a new file called index.html. So now that we've created index.html in our folder, it automatically saves in the folder we created on our desktop. So all we just have to do right now is just type HTML5. HTML5 is the standard HTML markup language we make use of these days. So right now it's automatically created the structure, the basic structure of our web page. We have the header tag, we have the body tag, and we have the title tag. Each of them are right here, and it automatically created. Remember, all I just did was to type HTML5. So right now, let's create our first header. All we just have to do is to create an header by typing let's say h1. Perfect. So what can we write in our header? So let's say the boy is a singer. We've written it here. So right now, all we have to do is minimize this Visual Studio Code. Go to the folder we created, click on it, And like I said, the index.html page automatically appears. So all we just have to do is to double click on the index page and double click. Voila, we've seen the header type. So this right here is your first, it can pass as your first web page. So right now, let's do another task. Let's create a paragraph under this header. So all we just have to do is to go back to the Visual Studio Code and create a paragraph. The paragraph tags always start with P. So all we just have to do is create P, then you can write anything. Then we go back, then reload. Then once we reload, the paragraph we created will automatically appear here. Kindly note that any code or any changes made is usually auto-saved. So if you find out that yours is not saving, all you just have to do is go to File and set your auto-save button. So that's all we have for now before we'll move to the CSS. Now onto the CSS. Like I said initially, the CSS is also known as a cascading style sheet. It gives the web page beauty. It basically beautifies the web page. So as we move on to the CSS, all we have to do right now, the first step is to create a CSS file. And let's say we create it, we name it style.css. So the second step is to properly link the index.html file to the style.css file. So all we just have to do right now is link it with this link code href style.css style sheet. So then we go back to the style.css and start our beautification. So let's take, for example, we want to style our heading. All we just have to do is click H1, then let's assume we want to increase the font size. Then font size, let's take for example 70 pixel. Then after we impute this one, we minimize, then we go back to our index. As you can see, the size of our header changed automatically. So let's go back to our code and still make some adjustments. If we want to make our header to be aligned at the middle of the web page, all we just have to do is use the text align, then center. Then if you come back to check again, you will notice that it has moved to the center. So right now we can also decide to probably change the header color. So it's very simple. All we just have to do is still on that H1 styling, we just click on color, then any color we like, let's say blue. So then we go back to our document, refresh, and we notice that it has automatically changed to blue. So that's it. Then now let's move on to styling the paragraph. So we go back to our VS Code, then we check what our tag was. Here we can see that the tag is P. So all we just have to do is use P, then add your braces. Then let's say we also want to align the paragraph to be at the center. We just use text align, then center. Then we can also change the color to blue. Color blue. Then we go back and we refresh. We notice that it has changed to blue. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we can as well just leave it as black. If you want to remove it, then you can just change from blue color to the black color. Simple. Then we change the header's color to black. Simple. Then we go back again. Then refresh. Here we have it. We've changed it. So this can also pass as your first web page. So there are many things to learn, many things to take note of. So little by little, step by step, we'll be touching those areas one by one. So for now, here we have it, and I think that will be the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much, and make sure you subscribe so that when new videos are uploaded, you'll be the first to know. We still, like I said, we still have a lot to cover. There are still a lot of lessons to be learned. This is basically like an half-baked web page. It's not a standard web page of any type, so we still have to learn more things. And the secret to this is to keep practicing. The more you practice, the more you become perfect at it. So see you next time, guys. Cheers.